See, I got everything. Right. Hey everyone, I'm just kind of making sure I got everything I need for this video, and just making sure everybody has a few minutes before they get on here. So I'm just going to take a minute or two, so just be patient, just trying to make sure I got everything I need. So is that 2, 3? All righty. See, what time is it here? 8 o'clock on the dot. Yeah, we're gonna give everybody another minute. I was just making sure that my camera was set up good and everything. Let's see here. Seems like it's pointing a little bit different. Let's see here. A little odd. Let me do one more adjustment. See if that looks better. There we go. All right. Let's see here. I think I got everything that I need. Got this stuff. Actually, just to save that from making a mess there. So about one more minute, guys. I'm going to get started here. So if you're catching this on the replay at about 8:02 here, I'm going to start firing away and just make sure I got everything, make sure all the lighting and stuff like that is working good. Looks like we're in frame good. So, all right. All right, guys. So it's 8:02. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get started here. Hey, I'm Kevin the Toy Smuggler. Like I said, if you're catching this on the repeat, I want to welcome you to my channel. If you get a chance to go to Facebook, just come over there to Sexton Creations. You'll find me over there. I have anything I do on YouTube, I will repost it over there. Any kind of art updates, photos, any other, and every once in a while I will go live streaming on Facebook. I don't do it a whole lot just because the sharing possibilities are quite a bit limited versus on YouTube. You can share it on Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere else you want to. A lot better format and stuff like that. So, but today we are going to talk about collecting versus hoarding. And there are a lot of people who aren't in this business of toy collecting. They tend to call all of us hoarders. And there is and I can get where a lot of people kind of come to this assumption and everything, but there's a fine line there, and it's pretty easy to understand the differences. As you see here, I got a collection of He-Man stuff here, down here below on this side over here. You can't, let's see, I can turn the camera around just a little bit. Let's see, give y'all a quick look here. I got some He-Man and stuff over here, and below it I got some pro wrestlers and stuff like that. And then when we take the camera back over here toward me and stuff, and then back here I got like the Death Star, more vintage Star Wars stuff behind me and stuff like that. Pretty much what the point I'm getting at here, you see everything, you see multiple characters. You don't see like 20 Battle Cats, or I think I seen a picture a few weeks ago. Somebody had a whole entire bookshelf, nothing but vintage Star Wars Wampa. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know that many existed. And I've never have seen them, that many of them in just one space. And that's the true difference versus, oh, sorry, guys, versus collecting something or versus hoarding something. And we all, unfortunately now, almost all of us collectors, there's usually that 1, 2, sometimes 3 items that we tend to hoard. I mean, we all got that one character or that one thing, that one creature, that one monster, but usually it's that one character that we all just love more than everybody else. And we tend to collect a little bit more of those than I do anything. I got a pretty decent little collection of 3 3/4 inch, I would say 2000 and up Darth Vaders, because around, I think it was it 2000? I want to think it's around 2010 is when 2010, 2011, they made the really nice 3 3/4 inch Vader. And I think, and unfortunately on that one, they took the same figure and just kept repackaging him in different kind of packages. And that was the most probably annoying thing about that right there, was that. And after, honestly, after a few years of that, seeing it on that character and many others, that's why I just, being, if you're a completist, that is just the falling down the rabbit hole, so to speak. Just a never ending cycle. And unfortunately, I just think I get they do it a couple times, but once you do, like Vader, I think he was the same Vader was put on, I'm wanting to think, like 9 different cards, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a little too much. And so I got quite a few of those. They just kept. Actually, Vader's probably my most favorite Star Wars character. So that's why I kind of tended to collect a few more of those. And I just looked up there for a while, find them at a really good price. But now, as far as the vintage Star Wars, I wouldn't call it hoarding, because I'm roughly have about a dozen to 13 vintage Stormtroopers and vintage Tusken Raiders. And I think, let's see here, I know there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it looks like I have 7 of the Hoth Rebels. Which the only reason I got those is I got 2 of the vintage Hoth play sets, and I just wanted a bunch of pretty much army men, just for display. Not really. It's not that I was wanting to hoarding, but I just wanted my play sets to look nice and have a certain amount of figures to make it look presentable and stuff like that. So those, I don't think. When it comes to Stormtroopers and like Hoth Rebels, I think once you get around, oh my gosh, there's so many guys out there that's got more than 50, and several of them that's out there that's got more than 100. Now, I think when you have 50 of one vintage character, I think you're knocking on the hoarding thing. Now, so I told you a couple of them. I got one here. This is probably one of my most favorite toys. So if you guys, once I start seeing some people chime in on this, I'm going to let them see if they can guess it. So I'm going to wait to the very end of the video to show what I got going here. But I think the reason we all do that, there's a point of time when you're collecting and buying toys that you find yourself and it's usually not a long frame of time. Sometimes it is. Now, sometimes it can go on. It's different for everybody. Is you hit a lull and not see one of your favorite characters for a very long time. So you may be like a year or two, you just can't find them. You're just not noticing it, and then boom, you find one, and you notice that the price is kind of like doubled, and then you start getting that nervous feeling that, okay, what's going on here? There's something I don't know is going on. Why is this character hard to find? Why is it going up in price? Boba Fett's are like that. Any kind of Boba Fett almost is like that. So it don't matter if it's He-Man, Star Wars, or G.I. Joe is really bad for this. You just there's a certain handful of characters in almost every line that tend to get a little tough to find, and they tend to get kind of pricey at times. So if you experience this a couple of times, there you go. The panic starts setting in the back of your head where, okay, I got to grab up every one I can see. And then sometimes you may get one, even if it's not at a great price. You'll go ahead and snatch it anyway because you just don't want no. You're afraid if you don't get it, say a vintage Boba Fett, if you don't grab it now for $40, next year he'll be $60. So, and I ain't gonna tell you, when I first, I didn't collect He-Man there for ages, and I thought about getting into it, but for whatever reason, I didn't kind of see them. So it didn't bother me because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But then around 2011, I didn't have any He-Man figures, and all of a sudden I remember going to a flea market, and I remember seeing a Castle Grayskull, and it looked really nice. I checked out, and if I'm not mistaken, it was complete. It had everything, the instructions, even the little bitty blaster. This was 2011, and the guy asked for I think it's $45 for it. Well, I didn't jump on it. That was on a Saturday. And then the very next day on Sunday, we're at my art studio. I had a big building at that time, and we're working on it, you know. And then I woke up that morning, I was kind of regretting that I didn't get it. Well, a buddy of mine, him and his two friends, they hit that flea market every Saturday, every Sunday, like clockwork. So I knew this, so I gave him a call. I said, "Hey, Spike, go up there." I told him where to go and everything, and I said, "Ask the guy if he'll take 40 for it." But it didn't have the box, so but still $40 for a complete Castle Grayskull. Right now, here it is, basically 9 years later, is crazy huge. He-Man by himself goes more, and I think the guy was also asking $40 on the He-Man, and he would not budge on the He-Man price back in 2011 for $40. I said, I am not paying $40 for a He-Man figure. So anyway, I ended up, see, this is 2020, late 2017. No, I take that back. Early 2018, I bought my first He-Man for $40 complete. So I think, considering how, I don't know how much He-Man went up, but obviously it didn't go up a whole lot versus that is you're looking at 7 years went by and he pretty much stayed solid, not wiggling price. And if I'm not mistaken right now, I seen some complete He-Mans going for roughly about $130 to $145, which I think is just ridiculous. They're just not worth that much. They're just really not. But people are out there, and with the new movie coming up, and they're working on a new cartoon, I'm sure someone is going to come out with some kind of version of a comic book and stuff like that. So, but you know, the prices, you know, but like I said, once I got I thought, well, I'll get me a He-Man and I'll get a Skeletor, I'll get a handful. And once I went down this road, as I turned the camera around a few minutes ago, as you can see, I didn't stop at a He-Man and a Skeletor. So, and just like all the other stuff, you know, we all get this bug about collecting, and we just buy and buy and buy. And a problem that I was running into personally with my collection is when I got the fire many years ago, this was like the late 90s, early 2000s, was collecting the Spawn figures. Anything that Todd McFarlane made, I was on it. Actually, I was on that bug harder than I was, because the Power of Force, even though they were really tugging at us, making us want this and making us want that, the problem with the Power of the Force stuff, it just wasn't as good as the vintage stuff. It was nice to go to a Walmart and be able to see Star Wars on the shelf again after like a good 10 years. And that was nice, and you'd be able to buy it and take it home. But once you got home and the more and more you looked at it, you just really wasn't satisfied. So when Spawn came out, boom, he took the whole design and look aspect and just broke all the rules for an action figure. And that, boy, I bid on that hard, and I collected so much junk. And this was back, like I said, I remember in 96, I believe. So yeah, 96, no, 97, early 97. I know that's when I had my very first, you could call official toy room. It was dedicated. And then I had another little room that was dedicated to this, where I did some work in. So, but I had an official, and everybody back then thought I was totally psychotic, crazy. You know, sorry guys, a little bit warm in here. Keith, there we go. But I thought I was going to talk to myself all evening, man. Get me worried there. I kind of went on to talk here, Keith, about the difference between collecting and hoarding. And I got something in the box over here. I want you to, you know, you probably collect toys just like the rest of us. And everybody, I think, has that one or two toys that or maybe even three, that you just tend to buy a little bit more of than anything else. So I won't go ahead and try to see if you can guess what's inside of here. Let's see here. Ramel, good evening, brother. Yes. Yeah, I tell you what, it is, like I said, I had my first collection room. Like I said, I don't know if you guys caught this. So I'm kind of repeat a little bit here. Back in 1997, like I said, I was the only person that I knew of that had a toy room. And I really caught a lot of flack off my family friends. But then at the same time, I was really heavy into pro wrestling at that time. Been wrestling at that time probably 4 or 5 years. But a lot of the wrestlers liked collecting toys too. So they used to come over some Saturdays before we go out and wrestle. They come up and check out the room. They bring their kids, and they make their kids put their hands in their pockets so they wouldn't touch nothing or break anything. But I didn't know of anybody for years until about right about the time when the prequel started coming out, episode 1. That's when I started running into the more of the frenzy kind of collectors that would. I kept mostly running into these people at Toys R Us. If you run into another collector at Toys R Us back when episode 1 was fixing to happen, a lot of those guys was extremely rude. We're talking about guys, if you're reaching up to go grab something, I mean, they would come over, almost come over your arm, grab a sword, ha ha, it's mine. And it's like very, I've never experienced that collecting toys before that, and not much since, to be honest with you. But that was the first time I really started seeing toy collectors starting acting just a little bonkers about Star Wars. But the crazy thing was, even after all that hype, people running, and I remember being at Toys R Us at midnight when episode 1 figures hit and stuff like that, and it was a madhouse. Everybody in there buying like crazy. I mean, people, shopping carts full. I mean, people loaded up their buggies. And boom, and I remember it wasn't, I guarantee it wasn't even 3 months later, boom, all those toys was in the bins. Yes, they all hit the bins, and it was just, I'm like, what happened? You know, honestly, I was very confused about what was going on. And Keith, I think I told you, but Romel, everybody has that 1 or 2 figures that they tend to collect a little bit more. I got mine right here. See if you guys can take a guess before the show. At the very end of the show, I'll reveal what it is. See if you guys can throw a guess out and see who can guess which one it is and everything. But anyway, I just remember coming out of that whole situation just a bit puzzled on that massive frenzy there for several weeks about this people just constantly going hitting every Toys R Us, every Walmart, every Kmart. Just there was such a frenzy. And as soon as episode 1 was over with, boom, it didn't take a couple weeks. I started hearing all this negativity. That was the first time when I actually started hearing a lot of negativity about Star Wars. And it was kind of depressing. It really was. It really, see here. No, it's a Pacific character. I will tell you that. It is all the same character in here. I will tell you that's the best hint, because if I say anything else, if I give you a hint on what line, it is a vintage toy. I can tell you that. We're talking, it's in the 80s, okay? Early 80s, between 80 and 85. So see if that helps you guys out a little bit. So, but it is all one character, I promise you. And there's only, let's see here, trying to see, I think about a dozen or so. So I gave you a hint looking around. So that's about anything else. And what are you guys going to see here? All right. There's one vote in. See who? Rick, thank you for joining us this evening, brother. Glad you can be here and stuff like that. And that's, like I said, that's when I first started hearing all the first negativity. And this, like I said, was, you know, the internet was very early. I wasn't on it that much. I mean, I had internet in the house, but nothing was on the internet. If there was anything on the internet, like, and that's one thing a lot of people was telling me back in 97, that they were getting on these chat rooms and forums. And I have to tell you, the Toy Smuggler just didn't give a rat's butt about going on any chat room back in those days. I mean, I was really heavy into professional wrestling and stuff like that. So, sitting on there, I hated typing anyway, so getting on there and typing was just going to be a joke. Romel's put in a vote here. Netscape, okay. See, he had Star Wars toys during school. Darth Vader from the Saga collection. Yes, now Romel, you missed it, but the very beginning of this video, I was talking about how I got quite a few of those Saga Darth Vaders, you know, and I talked about how they was really bad. I think they repackaged him, that very same figure, like in 9 different packages, something like that. And I think they would only change 1 or 2 things, but the Darth Vaders, they really got pretty crazy on making. They would make changes, but they would screw something else up just so they can make another change. They just kept creating excuses to make Darth Vader's and Farm Boy Luke's. It was just, my gosh, it just. And honestly, after about 5 or 10 years of collecting like that, Star Wars kind of burnt me out. I think I got burned out. My second burnt on buying toys was around 2007. I quit buying. And like I said, and what got me back into buying toys again was Castle Grayskull. So I picked up a Castle Grayskull back in 2011, and I didn't get a He-Man figure until 2018, until I finally got a He-Man. So no, I take that back. I almost lied here. I actually bought a Triclops and a Prince Adam, and I made me a He-Man. And I still have it today. I got him put up in the box and stuff like that. But then it wasn't like a month later. All that ended up doing is just teasing me wanting a real He-Man anyway. So I didn't accomplish anything by doing that. So let's see here. Superpower Superman. Oh, that is a very good guess, Keith. I have to admit, that is a good guess. Let's see. Yeah, 5,000 times from it. Yeah, that's what it felt like anyway. It was just, it was annoying, and I kind of feel right now that the Black Series is kind of doing the same thing with the whole face printing deal. It's like they automatically issue something with just a sculpted face, and then they come back, let everybody complain about it, just so 6 months later they can come out with it again with the digital printed face. Just go ahead and do it anyway. But they're just playing a game, guys. I just don't think they're selling enough like what they used to. And I think the bad movies kind of hurt the collecting game. And like I said, Star Wars, if it wasn't for the Mandalorian, Star Wars would just be flushing itself down the toilet. Right now, the Mandalorian is truly the Star Wars toys white knight. But at the same time, I mean, the bad thing about that is they're putting so much power on this Baby Yoda bull crap, and they're already making me not like it. So, but I have exciting feelings. I mean, I got a very positive feeling. I can't wait till the new Motu figures come out. So, considering they're all off Mark Taylor sketches and stuff like that, I'm just totally excited about how all that's going to come together. I already got some funds. All right, this is the new He-Man funds, and I had a few people ask me, have I been collecting the WWE / Motu figures with the Sting and the Macho Man and stuff like that, and I have not bought them, and I've had plenty of chance. I just went to the Walmart today. One Walmart just had a couple, but another Walmart had every one of them. I could have got the ring and every one of the figures. I think there's what? I had to tell you, the only thing I did not see today out of that line is the ring that comes with the two figures, with the John Cena and whoever that other guy is. So that's the only thing that I did not see. And I think it's still a good deal. I think you pay $10 or $15 more on top of that ring price to get the two figures. So I think you end up saving like $10 all the way around. So. But the only reason I'm not, but if that ring does drop in price, I will be getting the ring. I don't care much for the figures. Like I said, I retired from wrestling 5 years ago, and that's just not my thing. So I don't, I got an old WWE ring here, but I only paid like $5 for it. And I thought, I said I had a handful of figures from the past, and I just threw it in there and stuff like that. So, but I just kind of stay away from that. But I have been looking at it. I'm glad to see it on the shelves. And I am hoping that Mattel, I think this is a great strategy by Mattel, because they know the 9 or 10-year-old boys are buying these wrestling figures, and they buying these rings. So this is a perfect way to introduce the Motu style in the Motu universe, get them kind of itching for it and kind of getting their knowledge up a little bit. And they're putting those little bios on the characters. They're teasing them. They're kind of getting their heads and saying, here, look over here a little bit, which I think this is probably the smartest advertising strategy that I've seen out of a toy company since back in the 80s. And bottom line, guys, I study marketing like a madman. I have studied it since, oh gosh, I went back 2004. I started studying entertainment and movies and toy marketing and stuff like that with Jeff Burr and Mark Hanna, the guys that I done the film stuff with and everything. And it's just it just grows every year. That's just something I just love to study, is how companies market items. It's just a fascination of mine for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see here. Oh wow, the ring up here where I live in Dalton is still at 1989 or 1998. Yeah, I would like to find one for between 10 and 15 bucks. I'll snatch it. I think we had like 9 rings at the Walmart down here, so I'm keeping my eye on it. If I start seeing them, if half of that, if it gets down to 4 or 5 of them and the price is still at 20, I'll probably get one. But I'm holding out. I just don't want, because if once I get it, I'm going to have to get rid of this ring to have room. That's one thing I've been doing. That's something else, guys. When you're getting, that's what get back to the Spawn story I was telling you. I was just buying, and the powers of 4 stars, buy, and then one day I went in my toy room and I looked around and I noticed I'm like weeding through the little tiny, I mean like 1 foot, scooting between piles and piles of toys. And I remember like, man, so there for like 10 years, honestly, I had to box so much stuff just so I could move around in the toy room, and it just, I wasn't enjoying it. And then, like I said, what changed all this, when I started working up here at Battlegrounds Comics and Games with their Michael and Jason, I started getting heavy in the toy restoration business in early 2018. And honestly, I didn't think I'd ever get into that, but I started restoration on a snow speeder, and that's what kicked it all off on me the year before and kind of got me into that knack. And that's what started the Toy Smuggler from that point right there. So anyway, and that's when I started seeing how toys, like they set up their display shelves and stuff like that. And that's when I started coming back home, restoring things and getting some things at their shop. And I started looking around. I was like, you know what? I remember opening up a box that I had. And I looked at these Spawn figures. I was like, man, these Spawn figures have been sitting in this box for the last 10 years. And I thought, I've enjoyed them. I'm not enjoying them now. They're not where I can see it. So that's when I went like for like 2 months. I'd run through my collection, anything that I looked at. And if I didn't have that instant heart flutter, that instant vintage feel connection kind of feel good. You all know what I'm talking about. There's that certain toys that when you go in your closet, you're like, oh man, I still love this, just like it was yesterday, even though it's 30 years ago. If it did not give me that feeling, I put it in a pile. The next day, took it to Battlegrounds. I take a big, huge tote, come back with a much smaller tote of things that I did not have in my collection that I've always wanted. So my thing was, I took the thick volume of things that I didn't need, traded it in for smaller things that I've always wanted and never could afford. So, and I thought, man, is this a good deal? Is this a smart play? And I have to say, that's probably the smartest things that I've ever done. Is every 6 months, I'll go through all of my stuff and really look at it. Do I look at this enough? Does it, like I have, you can see here, these things will always be here. I will never sell this stuff, not on the day of my life. Just not going to happen, because I cherish it. This is my childhood. That's why I'm working on the Planet of the Apes stuff, the Mego stuff. That was my Planet of the Apes and Batman and Robin. That was my first action figures ever back in the day. So it was 1974. I was 2 years old. It was those guys, and they ended up getting one of them Evel Knievel, the turn crank. And I think then you have to smack it or something like that, and then it kicked off, something like that. But it's crazy. I thought the bike thing was amazing, but now that I actually got to restore an Evel Knievel guy for Battlegrounds, and I just looked at it and was like, I'm gonna have to make a Mego version because this one sucks. I mean, boy, that old figure was not. He was made to take a beating, not to look great. So let's see who else is chiming in here. I collect vintage and new toys from the 70s to 20, but the characters I will buy everything of, no matter what, is the Keaton Batman. I do not have one of those. Well, I take that back. I got one Keaton Batman. Didn't he come with the full mask and one without the cowl? If I'm not mistaken, I did. If it did, I don't have the one that don't have the cowl. I think he came out with both versions of that, and I'd say that was pretty cool. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Keith. That's what I was thinking in my head. It seems like I got that, and I think I got not the Val Kilmer, but the Christian Bale. I got a couple of the Christian. I think of the 5.5 inch scale. They was really nice, tight sculpted, and I think they made like, I want to say I got 2 different versions of that one. I'm wanting to think, but I just thought they was really nice looking Batmans. I always thought the Christian Bale Batman suit looked really cool, and I'm not taking away. I like the Ben Affleck. The Ben Affleck one, I like that it's just big and brawly. And he was this boy, and he fight. It wasn't fancy. It was just knocked the heck out of people. I just love that. He done so good in that movie. I was very proud of how he did. I had my doubts, but boy, man, he pulled it off and stuff like that. So, but and then the hoarding issue, and that's where I was doing that. In a way, I wasn't hoarding too many of one thing. I was just hoarding and not enjoying. And I think and I tell you what, I enjoy my collection so much more now when everything has its nice home. It has a nice place to display. Every time I walk in here to my art room, man, I stop usually every morning when I get my coffee. I come through the door right here. I stop with my coffee every morning before I go sit down, and I just take a moment and just look around. And especially if I got a new piece that I just put on the wall, I make sure I look at that every day for like a couple of weeks, because I want to experience. I want to enjoy it. I mean, there's nothing worse than I hear people, they're talking, oh, I got to get this toy. Oh, I got to get this one. I got to get this one. Then they get it, and you watch them, and they'll just throw it up on the shelf without a care. It's like, man, you've been talking about that thing for a month, and you just want to toss it on the shelf. What the heck? So I make sure, whether it's a vintage toy or if I do find something at the store, I don't buy much at the store anymore. The only thing that I've gotten lately at the store and the only reason I'm getting these as body parts, is I've been going to bargain hunt here and finding all these. And the reason I got this one right here is I'm doing a custom Nova for my Planet of the Apes. And I've seen somebody on one of the Facebook Mego stuff. I think it's the Mego Planet of the Apes, and someone did that right there, and it looked amazing. So I got to do that and kind of give you guys a quick update. And since I got Keith and everybody here, guys, I need you to give me your guys' opinion on this. I'm looking at designing my own custom line of these kind of type figures. And one of the first ones I am designing, I'm not going to show you the figure, but I'm working on, I'll show you a quick glimpse of the card art that I'm doing. I'm looking at my first figure being a Tarzan. So I'm going to make sure, I got a little bit of a delay here, so I'm going to hold up a few minutes, make sure it's all getting zoomed in good. Let's see how it's going here. Might have to go just a little bit higher. Give me a second, guys. I got, like I said, a little delay. I'm watching in here. So, but yeah, this is a Tarzan that I'm looking at doing, and I'm looking at doing a Zorro. So, but I just want to make sure if this is something you guys may be interested in, or at least help me advertise and stuff like that. This is something I've been wanting to do lately. And this is actually the art that you see here is an actual painting that I did of Tarzan. I would get it, but I actually got it nailed to my wall. It is actually nailed to the wall. I was so afraid it was going to fall. I got it designed on the board where it's got these little holes in it where I can nail it right in. I can get them out easily, but it's technically nailed to the wall. But this is a painting I did just a couple years ago, and I really liked it. And I sewed a few little prints. I didn't want to do, I think I did a little print run of like 25 prints and sewed them all in one show and everything like that, and really enjoyed it. So I always thought, I never liked the Mego Tarzan, because he had the flesh color bodysuit with the little leopard thing. I just thought it looked retarded. He looked like Superman's little brother with bad pajamas on, is what it looked like. So, and you can actually Classic TV Toys does a really good version, like a reboot version of that, and it looks great. I mean, but he does a little, like I said, I just don't like the style. It's not what Classic TV Toys are or Mego, it's just that style looks like crap. The actually on Classic TV Toys, if you go to their Tarzan and Jane, the best figure out of line is that Korak, which is Tarzan's son. The Korak looks really good. I mean, I've actually thought about once I get my Tarzan done, I might get that Korak just to go with it because it looks like it'd be a good companion piece. So, I'm glad you like it, brother. All right, so you guys, how long have I been on here? I feel like I've been talking for hours. 36 minutes. All right. Well, Keith, you want one more guess before I open up the box here? Before I do, give you a little bit of think. I showed you guys that. Something else. I don't consider this hoarding, but when you get into like Migos, you end up running into the 3 3/4 inch GI Joe or the 12-inch GI Joe. You end up buying a lot of like broken figures and stuff like that. That's why I buy these. As I got these at bargain hunts for $2.50 a piece. You can't beat that. So you end up with usually a tote, or I got this suitcase here. I don't know if you can be able to see this, guys. Full of Mego classic TV toys, things I get at bargain. It's all 8-inch scale Mego style body parts. I mean, anything that I can get my hands on. I buy things in bulk sometimes. Boom. It didn't take me 6 weeks and I was able to fill this thing up. And I still have I got a shelf that's this tall that I got these guys just stacked 2 at a time, flip-flop, about this tall, just in case if I need it. So like I said, I don't consider that hoarding. I consider that it's part of the collecting of it, and especially if I come across any old vintage Migos, these things have some comparable parts. Some things aren't comparable, but still, it's great. I love the customize and stuff like that. So this is something I don't consider hoarding. I just call it part of the process. So, all right, guys, I'm going to do my reveal here on what my favorite toy is. And no one guessed it, by the way. It wasn't a Wampa. I think you guessed the first time Superman. And I guess you got 2 of those, by the way. That was a good guess. I really do like that one. When I was a kid, the Super Friends was huge back then. And I had a Mego Superman and a Batman, Robin, and Spider-Man. And I think that was it. If I had any others, I can't remember. That was a long time ago. All right. And the figure that I kind of hoard, I don't consider this hoarding either because it's not many, is vintage Motu, Warduke. Listen at me. Zodak. I'm thinking Warduke up here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm going to try to, like I said, I got like a 5-second pause here. Get this a little bit closer. But yep. 1982 Zodak. There we go. Getting a little bit closer. I got 2 up on the shelf, and I think there's 10 in here, I believe, something like that. And I actually got 2 more that I just bought. I've not even had time to clean. It's very dirty, and I got them at a very great price. I got them put up. So I got, see here, like I said, I got 2 real nice ones up on the shelf. See, 2 be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 2 in there. So I got 14. So my wife calls it hoarding. Trust me. She's like, you done got that one. You already got that one. I was like, I know I already got that one. But my defense, that one time I had like 6 of them, and I was at a flea market, and this old lady had a Ziploc bag, just a regular sandwich bag, full of them cheap rubber snakes and little knickknacks, and boom, there was a Zodak in there, and the whole entire bag was $1. How in the world can you say no to $1 for a vintage He-Man figure? That's right, I couldn't. So, yeah. So, see, what do you say? See? On Hoardak called in orange. Yeah, Zodak, right? I don't think I have seen that one yet. So, yeah, I have to go find that one on his channel. I need to call Michael. I have not talked to Michael in a while. I need to call and check on. I hadn't talked to him since this whole coronavirus has been going on. So I need to call and check on him, see how he's doing. And I know Tony's been busy too. It's just, this has been, you think during all this lockdown stuff, everybody would have so much time to just talk to each other. But my life has not changed. Actually, I've been working more now than what I was before all this happened. So I've not been locked down. Like I said, the only thing I've been aggravated with is my little girl don't go to school, so that's changed my wife's schedule. She gets home later because she instead of going to school here in town, she has to go to the next town over to have her daughter to watch her. So my life, it's just been more busy, not sitting around being bored. So I have not been experienced that at all. When they started talking to the rumor about forcing people to stay home for 2 weeks and get paid, I was like, yes, I can do that. Man, I thought, man, I'm going to get caught up. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So anyway, guys, that's my thing, talking about, like I said, collecting and hoarding. Like I said, the best advice I can tell you guys, if you love a certain figure, collect it. Make sure you give it a nice home display, guys. Go through your stuff. If it's something that's been boxed up for 10 years, there's probably a reason why. If you don't have that passionate feeling and you can't give it a really good, nice home, it's probably time that you, like I do, you got to either rotate things out. Like every 3 months, I'm going to be taking some space over here, and I don't have room for my GI Joes, and I don't want to get rid of them. So I got to rotate. Every 3 months, I'm rotating the GI Joes with some other stuff. I may do that with the He-Man stuff. So just rotate it, and if it's something that's really not that precious to your heart, get rid of it, downsize, and get something that you've always been wanting. So, yeah, see, Romeo say, see, you buy them for the sake of having many of them, or do something you plan to? Well, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, Romeo. And the reason is I buy them just cause 2 reasons. Number one, it seems like everybody hates that character, and I'm like, he was my favorite character. He was the wild card. Sometimes I played it as him as a good guy, sometimes I played with him as a bad guy. So he was the guy. He was the character that put some good play value in. They kind of shut things up. But the second reason is I would love to make Order of the Zodiacs, like their own shelf with their own little sleds and stuff like that, or some kind of council, kind of like, you've seen like the Greek council where you got Zeus and you got all the other gods and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to do some kind of a Greek sci-fi feeling kind of council of the Zodiac and something like that. So that's kind of the plan. Either I think like the main one, I thought about doing him an all in white custom on a sled, and then let all the red and black tiers be like different tiers of the council and stuff like that. So that's what I thought. That's the long-term thing. Is if I decide to do that, I gotta find, because that's going to be a shelfer all by itself. So just like I'm getting ready to do with my Mego Planet of the Apes, I got a pre-planned spot. It's a corner shelf that comes out like a fourth of a pie, and it's 3 levels. And I'm going to be making little 3 little dioramas for these Planet of the Apes figures to sit on. So. And then after that, I'm probably going to be working on designing some custom characters of the ape soldiers, and get a little bit different look. Kind of, if I got hired to create Planet of the Apes figures, what would I do today? That's what I want to make. So I'm curious what I can do with it. So guys, thank you guys, Romeo, Keith. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I thought I was going to be talking all by myself. So I don't know, guys. To me, I tried the 9:30. That seemed to be a rough little time. I think I'm going to start shooting for the 8 o'clock time, if that's all right for you guys. So guys, see here, the classic line is yeah. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what they do on the new the classic line. I don't own any of those, and I'm afraid to buy them because boy, what a massive line. I love it, but whenever it figures $60 to $100. I know me, if I buy one, but unless someone gets me a Zodiac classic line as a gift, different ball game. But I know me, if I buy one He-Man or one Faker, I'll say, oh, I just need a Skeletor. Oh, I just need a He-Man. Oh, I just need it would never stop. I know me. So guys, but thank you guys. Yeah, thank you for teasing me about that, Keith. Yeah, because I've seen one, but I've never held one. The Battleground has the Faker, and the Faker's been teasing me. I really like the Faker. He looks pretty cool. All right, guys. Gotta let you go, guys. Thank you all for joining me. Y'all be safe out there. I'm Kevin the Toy Smuggler. Y'all have a great evening.